Hi everyone, this is Junk Journals 101. This is JJ, and I am wanting to share with you today how to do the 5-hole straight stitch and sew into your cover. On the last video, my video abruptly ended and I apologize for that. My camera ran out of space, my computer, and so I was in the middle of talking about the 3 signatures versus the 4 signatures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this up. The other video showed us how to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, and we completed that 3-hole pamphlet stitch. It showed us how to use the punching cradle, how to punch our signatures. So all of that stays the same. It just depends on the number of holes that you want to put in your signatures and in your spine. The templates stay the same. Your template's going to be, the little 3-hole template that we did. The template's still going to be the same size as your signature, and you're going to use it to punch your holes in your signatures and then to line up your holes. Either punch through your cover, or in this case with the hardback book, to line up your holes on your spine that your signatures would be sewn into. Okay? And then I'm going to do another video to show you how to do the 4 signature. I can talk about that a little bit here with that, but I don't want to take up too much time. I want to get to sewing in your signature. Okay, so we've made a template. I always do center of my page with my ruler, and then I go out from there equal distances. So how I normally do that is I do my center, and then I come in either a 1/2 inch or so equal distance from here, and then I do equal distance here from the center, and these I do halfway in between these 2 marks. So your center mark and your end mark, your ends mark, the first mark, I don't know what you call it, it's this mark right here where my fingers are, these 2 right here. I do equal distance between those in here. Sometimes it's not quite equal, sometimes it's just wherever you want to put it. Now, here's the other thing too. If you wanted to do center mark and then you wanted to do 7, so you go here and then you would put like another one here and then another one here. That's perfectly fine too if you want 7. It works the same, 5 or 7. I usually stick with 5. It's less going in and out through the cover and the signature. 7 is more secure because you have more sewing, so everything that you're putting in there has the chance to get caught in your signature. I'm talking about like short envelopes, shorter pieces of paper, those type of things get caught in more holes. Therefore, they're more secure in your signature. That's one reason why I normally use at least a 5-hole punch on my signatures instead of the 3-hole pamphlet. The 3-hole pamphlet is great for small little books for me, but when I'm talking about the larger ones, you have a lot of space in here, and you could have a short little envelope that's only going to be caught in 1 punch, 1 hole, if you only do 3 holes. So that's why 5 is good, and sometimes I will do 7 if it's a little bigger than this, just because I want to make sure, like I said, everything in my signature is getting caught. Okay, so you mark your holes, you punch them. Now, when we get out here to the spine, I talked about this in part 1, where I mark the holes with the black Sharpie so I know where the holes on the outside of my template lie, and then I put them on the line. Now the lines, I talked about this in part 1 as well, where you make the lines. So you go in here and you make a mark, a tick mark. So you're going to find the center of your signature. You're going to find the signature of your, you're going to find the center of your spine, and you're going to mark above the ruler and below the ruler on your spine. And then you're going to move up and you're going to mark above your ruler and below your ruler on the center. You're making tick marks. So when you go to draw your line, you're not only lining up evenly with the top and bottom of your spine, you're aligning along those tick marks to get a straight line down the center of your spine. So that is going to be for a signature. Then from there, you're going to move. You're not moving your ruler, you're moving on your ruler. You want a 1/4 inch between your signatures, and you're going to make a tick mark above this 1/4 inch mark on the left of your center mark and on the right of your center mark. A tick mark above and below your ruler, and you're going to do that 3 times. And then you're also going to go back, aligning your ruler with the top and bottom of your spine to make sure it's straight, and make your line down your tick marks on either side of that center mark. This is for 3 signatures, 1, 2, and 3, with a 1/4 inch in between each one. Now I will show you how to do the 4 signatures. When you have, this spine is 1 inch, which allows for 3 signatures. A 2-inch spine allows you for 4 signatures. And what you would do is you would still find your center mark on your spine, but you're going to move to the left of the center mark a 1/4 inch and make tick marks above and below the ruler, and then you move to the right of the center mark and make tick marks above and below your ruler. And you're going to do that 3 times at the top, the center, and the bottom. Okay? Now, and then you're going to go back, aligning with the top and bottom of your spine, and draw on your tick marks a line. Now that's going to give you 2 lines down across there. Those are your center signatures. And then from those lines, you're going to go a 1/2 inch to the left, tick marks, and then from the other one that's on the right hand side of the center line, you're going to go a 1/2 inch from it and tick marks above and below the ruler 3 times and draw those lines. And that will give you 4 signatures spaced a 1/2 inch apart. Now if you want your signatures just a 1/4 inch apart, then you would have to go, you'd have to adjust the center from the center out to do your marks. And you can do that. You can do mark on the 1/8 inch lines instead of the 1/4 inch lines. But it does involve a little bit of math when you're marking your spine. Now the reason why I say to mark it evenly, it shows better on the outside of your spine. If your holes are even, it's straight up and down, your lines are straight up and down, you won't have any problems with that. Now with it getting crooked or the holes being off or anything like that. So now you're going to stay on your lines. I turn my book this way to me, and I align my paper, my template, just to the side of the one line. Now I'm starting with the center line. I take my marker or my pencil or whatever you're marking with. Wherever there is a hole, I'm also making sure that this is aligned where I want it on my make sure you're centering it on your cover. Make sure your signature is placed where you want your signature to go, okay? And then you take and you make a mark on each one of these holes. So you see where this mark is right here? I'd make a mark on that line right there. That's where I'm going to punch my hole. Right there, okay? I do that for each one of my lines, and then I'd move and I would do this one, mark it, and then I'd move and I would do this one. I always want to make sure that I have in my eyesight the middle hole though. So here I would make sure that I mark this one here with this one so that they're pretty much straight across from each other. They're in a line. Now there's another way that you can do this too, is you can draw a line from this straight across this if you can get it straight. To go straight across, you would align with the edge of your book and draw a straight line, and then where those intersect is where you would, of course, mark your holes. But if your line is crooked, you're going to have one hole up here and one hole down here. So it can make a difference as to where your signature is set in your book. So I find it easier just to align this up and just eye that I'm getting it straight across there. I usually don't have any problems. It's not that noticeable if it's just slightly off, but it is noticeable if it's crooked. And I just noticed on mine too that my signature, they're a little low in my book. So when I sew in my signatures, they're going to be a little low in my book, but I'm going to go with it. So just make sure that this is even on your cover right here from top and bottom where you want your signatures to set. These holes determine where your signature is going to set in your book. There's no way around that. So, because it's a permanent hole. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take, what I usually do is I take a really sharp awl or a needle or a push pin, whatever I'm using, and I make an initial hole. I push in and I turn it and turn it and turn it until I get a hole in my spine. Then what I do is I go back with a larger awl. That's the circumference of my awl is larger, or something that's larger. I push through that hole that I made and I run around in a circle. The reason for this being, and see how it makes that bigger? When your needle and your thread is bigger a lot of times than the awl that you're using. And you need to make sure that they can get through there easily. You've got to go through each hole twice. And you can get help with pliers of pulling your needle through. But I find it easier to make the hole a little bit bigger. Now you don't want your holes super huge because you don't want your signatures flopping around in there, and so you kind of want it just large enough that your needle and your thread will make it through the hole in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and sew in your first signature. Sorry, I should have threaded my needle before I started the video, but we will do this. It's usually pretty quick. Okay. Okay. On a 5-hole straight stitch, I usually start on the outside because I want strings on the outside to either hang dangles off of, or if I want to use some of them for bookmarks, you can do that as well. You can make that decision after you have everything sewn in. You can start in the inside. If you start on the inside, your signature will be tied off. Your strings will be tied off in the middle of your signature. You can start at the top, or you can start in the middle. You can also do a 5-hole pamphlet stitch with it. And if anybody wants to know how to do the 5-hole or 7-hole pamphlet stitch, let me know and I'll do another video on that. So, with that one. But if you start on the inside, you're going to end on the inside. If you start on the outside, you're going to end on the outside. Okay? So we're going to start on the outside in the top hole, and we're going to pull our thread through. Now I want to leave kind of a long, I cut a lot of thread. I think it's 3.5 times around my book that I cut, and that's because I want strings long enough to either dangle something off of, or I want a bookmark. So I have my thread, I'm going to hang on to it however much I want on the outside of my book, okay, because I don't want to pull it through my signature. Now my signatures I usually keep together I think I went through, yep, okay, I went through that, okay. Make sure your signature is right side up to where you want it, and mine is right side up for how I want it, and then I go through the top corresponding hole in my signature that corresponds with the hole in my spine. Okay. Now once I'm on the inside, I'm going to go down through my second hole in my signature and pull it through, and I'm going to go through the corresponding hole in my spine, down through it. Okay. And I hang on to this outside one here, and I'm going to pull on the one that I just got in. Okay. Tightens everything up. Now you can go back and you can tighten everything up as you go. You don't have to keep it tight where you can't see your holes. So I'm going to go, so this one I came out of, right? So I'm going to go in through the middle hole, or the third hole of the spine and my signature. So now I'm doing them both at the same time. Pull on it just a little bit, and make sure you don't have anything that is loose here. You don't want any knots or loops or anything like that. Okay, because we're on the inside, we're now going to go down through number 4, and we are going to make sure as we go through number 4 that it's lining up with the correct hole on our spine, and we're going to go out through the spine. Make sure you don't have any loops here. Okay, so out through number 4, in through number 5. Okay. Now, as you can see, this here, just make sure, pull this tight and pull this tight. As you can see, as you get to this point, this is where you want to tighten it up. Make sure everything's sitting in here really tightly. Your signature is against your spine. You're not able to see a lot of the thread or any space in there. Okay? And we'll tighten this up and just pull on each of the threads at this point. Now it's easier to tighten up there before you go back up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back up. So we've come up in the middle of number 5. We're going to go down through number 4 and come out the other side. This is where it gets really tight. But if you open up your holes, yeah, okay, and then we're going to go up through number 3, or the center hole. Yep, there we go. Pull on that. Now a lot of times when you go back up through a hole, it'll loosen your thread a little bit. Just pull on this top thread and it'll tighten it back up. Okay, so now we're going to go, because we came out through number 3, we're going to go up through number 2. Okay, I have my thread doubled up here on my, so just make sure whichever end it is comes out of your, don't sew in a double thread on that. Okay, tighten that up again, and then now we're at the top, right? Okay, so we've completed each stitch in and out through, this is 5, 4, 3, and 2. Okay, so this is number 1. So, and you can see we have full stitches on the inside, right? Okay, so right here is where we are going to tie off our signature at the top. Now, if we were on the inside, we would tie it off on the inside, but I want mine on the outside. And you usually, if you turn your book around, pull your knot up to where it's up there at the top. And tie it off. And there we go. Okay, now what I usually do is I weave this back through. And I come out on the other side so that they're both sitting on each side, and I'll do this again. So I'm going to go right over, let's see, sorry, right over left. And then I'm going to do left over right. That gives you that surgeon's knot. Okay, and we double knotted it, right? Okay, so there we go. We still have a string here, a long string, and we still have a long enough string that we can use it for a bookmark. So can go to the inside of the book. Okay, and we have our first signature right there. Now, of course, I would cut some of this off after I decide, you know, do I want a charm hanging off of here or off of here? Do I want a charm, or do I want to loop this up and hang a charm off of it? Something like that. But that's all decided after we get the rest of our signatures sewn in from that. Now, the other ones, you don't have to have this long of a string, but it's always good to have a little bit, especially if you're going to, you know, do the charm thing. So there's your signature is sewn in. So now what you do is you'd go to signature number 2 and you would sew it in. And signature number 3, and you would sew it in and tie it off the same way. So, and then you would have your all your signatures in your book, and then you can go back and decorate with that. And I'll show you the book after I get done with that. We'll go on with that probably next month, because we're supposed to decorate a signature and then put it in our book. And so we'll do that next month in the mentor program. So if you have any questions or anything like that, let me know. And then this will be continued. We'll continue on in part 3, and I'll do one where I sew it into a paper and a 4-stitch, and I'll show you how I do that as well. So it'll complete the sewing with that. Oh, there's going to be a part 4 video too. In the part 4 video, I'm going to use a soft cover. We're going to build a soft cover for a journal, and I'll show you how to do that and how I mark it to put my signatures in a soft cover if you ever want to do a soft cover. So that'll be part 4, so that you don't have to, the videos aren't too long and you don't have to watch it if you're not ready to make a soft cover journal. So okay, so enjoy your day. Thanks. See you in the next video.